Hey Saints fans, welcome back to the channel. Hitting you with a film study here early on a Tuesday. We got our Who Dat Confessional podcast a little bit later, but because we have Monday Night Football, we got to hit you with the film. So today we're going to take a look at the O-line and the D-line's play from last night's victory over the Carolina Panthers week 2 of 2023. Now, normally we don't do good video, bad video, as in we don't just focus on the good side of something or the bad side of something. But I wanted to showcase what the offensive line is dealing with, how they've improved in 1 game to 2 games, and how the defensive line actually got better last night from week 1. So we're going to talk about the techniques, different things used, and who all is playing at what level. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoy this video. If you do, I ask one simple thing. That's it. Just one simple thing. Type Who Dat right now in the comment section. Yeah, type Who Dat and let me know who you want to see in a film study going into this week. You want to see another one, Derek Carr? Do you want to see one on Jamal Williams, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed? You let me know. It doesn't matter who it is. We'll get you for it. Who Dat? Let's roll it. Hope you enjoy the film study, and away we go. All right, so this first play, we're going to start with the defensive side in the first half of this video. This is not a sack, but I don't want to show reps just for the sake of showing reps. Nate Shepard last night is probably my MVP for the D-line. That doesn't mean that Cameron Jordan didn't have a great game. Actually, that Cam had a fantastic game. But honestly, I thought Nate really shined here. And when we talk about the rookie in Breezy, who I think can be an amazing guy and actually had great reps tonight. Well, he's in front. If you look at the snap counts, they're close. They're neck and neck, but Nate Shepard leads. And stuff like this is why. So watch this one. So initially kind of tied up and tries to rip through and doesn't get the rip. But what does he do? He converts it to a hump move. This is amazingly beautiful. So one, you got to have great technique and great strength to be able to pull this off. So initially, we talk about winning and losing reps. Initially, he doesn't win this rep, right? Because the rip through doesn't make it. So we use the momentum of the offensive guard against them. And then I want to use this angle. Look at the guard's feet. Like, oh, he spins around. They turn him into a ballerina. Hey, Shepard, that's disrespectful, but I love it. Please do it again. Please do it more. But stuff like this is why we talk about the quality of the offensive line depth. Picking up guys like Nate Shepard, sure, he's not Aaron Donald, but in terms of rotation and what this team is providing him from a defensive line standpoint is absolutely fantastic. That's just beautiful. Rip into a hump move, that's a sick 1-2 combo. That's just winning with raw power and dirtiness. Anyway, we got to keep moving, but I can't stop staring. Jesus. Okay, now you're going to get your boy Cameron Jordan here. We're going to start talking technique. So it is extremely impressive to talk about Nate Shepard's hump move. The strength required for that is nuts. But let's talk about Cameron Jordan, the wily old veteran who, if you look at the box score for the Saints so far, you're like, oh man, maybe Cam's fallen off a little bit. The Saints have got 7 players who have registered a sack of some form so far this season through 2 games, which is incredibly impressive. But this man, he still got it. Let me show you how. So going against the right tackles, normally he faces a lot of chips and double teams. This time, not really much of a chip at all. He does a good job to avoid it. Tight end doesn't put a hand on. And then 2-arm bull rush. And literally, when we talk about putting a guy on skates, this is what we're talking about from an offensive line perspective and defensive line perspective. Got put on skates. He tried to drop into a hop step into his anchor. And Cam says, I don't care about your anchor. I'm simply going to power through it. It's like a tugboat trying to stop a cargo ship. It just isn't going to work. Now, Cam has done this for years. So this shouldn't come as a surprise. Now, the rest of the offensive line or defensive line is worth talking about as well. You got a pretty good rush. 1 arm into 2 arm there from Granderson. Now, left tackle does drop into his anchor, but he keeps going, keeps motoring through. You got Malcolm Roach and then Brian Brzee right there. So this ends up being a sack from Marcus May. But this was all caused by Cameron Jordan. It's also why, like, if Cameron Jordan has a 7-sack season, I don't really fuss about that. You know, Cameron Jordan creates and facilitates so much for everybody around him. But anyway, that's sack number 1 for the defense. Let's move on to the next. Again, it's so important that when the Saints are winning, are they winning with everybody or just one person? And that's something that I really kind of want to focus on with this rep because we have another Carl Granderson rep here. This is the strip fumble, and as you can see, it becomes a little bit of a Mayday dog pile. But let's talk about the rep. Let's talk about everybody because your entire defensive line is not going to win every rep. In fact, usually only one defender is going to just hardcore win on a rep. And that's just the nature of it. And usually somebody's getting double teamed or even two people. But what's crazy about this game is the New Orleans Saints were able to get pressure with 3 rushers several times. And you had reps like this from Granderson. Absolutely fantastic job. So we're going to focus on the left side of our screen real quick. So if you're looking for where you need to be, look above my head. That's Carl Granderson. So watch as he comes out of his set. Going to do a great job to try to rip through, but also just power through. Like this is, I love Granderson's speed, but this is literally just winning through power. I mean, just raw, attacks that outside shoulder, and he goes power to power versus that left tackle. And he's coming in with an initial rip move, but the tackle kind of takes that away with just leaning into him and just blows him by. I mean, there's nothing really else to say about it. It's not a gorgeous technique in terms of like, oh, wow, look at this amazing rip swim, or oh, wow, look how he ran into a stun and did it perfectly. No amazing spin moves here, just raw talent. And this is the development. And talk about Carl Granderson years ago when we studied him on tape, and he wasn't as strong as he is now. He didn't look as clean as he does now. He looks fantastic. And now he's leading your team with 2.5 sacks through 2 games. And it's because of stuff like this. Even when the technique is not just like super stellar, he's winning just from an athletic standpoint. It's kind of like what you want Trevor Penning to be. Like Trevor Penning is able to physically win matchups like this, right? He just physically is better. But you also have Granderson, who's displayed the level of technique needed to win consistently, and that's what you're hoping for Penning to develop into. Now, hopefully it doesn't take as long as it took Carl Granderson, but the point being, you're getting wins across the defensive line. It's not just Cameron Jordan opening things up for somebody. It's not just Carl Granderson. It is literally everybody's doing a great job throughout the night. The way if one guy gets shut down, somebody else is taking a step to the next level. Let's look at another sack to talk about that and show it. So I included Cameron Jordan, the rookie sack here, even though it gets negated due to a penalty because the rush still happened, right? It was still effective. And if you're curious where the penalty happens, I'll show you. It's Paulson Debo at the top of your screen. If you watch it, yes, it is a legitimate penalty. Is it a little ticky-tacky? Sure, maybe a smidge, but it, honest to God, is a real one. So coming through here, as soon as he breaks outside right there, that's the hold. That's what gets the call. You know, you'll see the flag come in right here from the back judge, right back there. I mean, that's a hold. It's not the most egregious hold in the world, but it definitely was a hold. So anyway, let's talk about the sack itself. Cameron Jordan does a great job with the one-arm bull rush, but you also have the interior of Brian Breezy, my man, going to go to the Hall of Fame, doing a great job working as a one here, coming through, and then we have a little bit of a stunt. Now, we talk about stunts all the time, and you will talk about the stunts with me a lot when we get to the offensive line, but what you're going to do here is you're going to rush and collapse Demario Davis in at a sharp angle and then wrap around, but not before we all move in this direction first. So we're going to cross the gaps. So this is an A-gap to A-gap stunt. So this will be a tackle. If you had to give it a name, this is a tackle to tackle stunt is what it would normally kind of read as, but we're doing A-gap to A-gap. So we're going to collapse down into this A-gap and swing around from this A-gap to open up the rookie. Does a great job here, great mobility, and dude just barrels through the running back. That's nasty. It gets through. Let's talk about Cameron Jordan on the opposite side. We've already seen a positive rep from him. He's going to help facilitate another sack. He's actually the one that gets the strip here. So this time they're going, or he's going with a one-arm rush here. And you see great job with initial hand placement. I talk about hand placement for O-line, but D-line as well. He's got one hand in that chest. He's driving back with his power, but he's already located the inside, or I'm sorry, in this case, the outside hand of the right tackle and swapped it out of him. So now you've created space. Now what do you do with that space? Convert that into the rush, and then right there you get there at the same time. Now is it as clean as maybe you want to be? Well, nothing's ever as clean as you want to be, man. This is not a Tide commercial, but great rep. Just sucks that it got called back due to a penalty, but still a great rep and worth showing off. Oh, you thought that Nate Shepard earlier was just to show Nate Shepard having an amazing hump move? No, this is to give him a sack where I was really worried they're going to try to call this an incompletion, but it definitely is a sack. So he's working as the 3 here over the right guard. I'm sorry, the left guard. So got Nate Shepard right here. Then you got Tano Passignon, Kalen Saunders, and then Isaiah, the rookie. Yes, Foskey played in this game. He actually played 20% of the snaps. Not enough for us to really give a film study on him, but he did play. Let's talk about Shepard on the inside, just working through. Beautiful. This is winning with suddenness. We talk about being aggressive and violent with your hands and all these different things. But what I showed you in the beginning of this was Nate Shepherd winning with just pure power. Here he is just winning with better speed. Like, that's literally all this is. Great hand movement in the very beginning. You can't see it as much from the other end zone angle. So we're going to show you from this one. Well, look here. Great hand usage and great short area quickness. So get in there. See that left hand? What's he doing? He's attacking the elbow. The guard did not going to do a great job to get inside real quickly. Didn't shoot his hands great. So you have a little quick swipe, and it's so quick and it's so efficient that you don't notice it from the backside. That little swipe, get around, and then bam, you got a guy right in the A-gap. If you're a quarterback, that's a terrible nightmare right there. Absolutely terrible. Does just enough to throw him off balance and get the sack. Watch it from this angle one more time. Nate Shepherd has had some really quality reps. And if you're curious, why is Nate Shepherd getting so many reps every game? Stuff like this is why. This has been a thing for him. Is he an elite run stopper? No, but that's why you got Colin Saunders and Malcolm Roach to an extent from there. But in terms of pass rush, while you're letting the rookie get better, I still expect the rookie and Breezy, because he's having a fantastic showing as well, to start being a guy that you consider a starter halfway through the season. But Nate Shepherd's not exactly going down quietly. He is not just going quietly into the night. He's saying, hey, I can make plays too. He did a fantastic job making plays last night. If he continues that, well, he's going to continue to get 50, 60% of the DT snaps. It's just, you can't take him off the field when he's doing stuff like that. That's just a fantastic rep. Great efficient use of hands, great short area quickness, great speed, great gameplay. Next play. All right, we got another one. This is going to be Demario Davis' sack, FYI. So again, you're going to be talking about him trying to escape the pocket and Demario cleaning it up. You've got Malcolm Roach making some pressure here. You got a little bit of rush from everybody. For who you have lined up, you have on your right, Cameron Jordan. You've got the rookie and Breezy. You got Malcolm Roach over here. You basically are playing dual three techs. It's not technically a three tech, but he's rushing. And then you got Carl Granderson on the outside. Four-man rush, right? All right, so let's take a look at it. Immediately inside rip by the rookie. You got Cameron Jordan getting chipped because after about the first quarter, they got tired of Cameron Jordan just straight up dominating. So they started doing that more. And then on the opposite side, spin move by Granderson that he just happens to spin into the lane of the running back, which kind of stops his rush. But initially, I actually like it. Watch him attack. Great job. Look at the left arm of that tackle. I mean, that's an effective placement. He just happens to run into that's just really bad, unfortunate timing. But anyway, as you get through, you see Breezy's not able to convert, ends up getting beat, but keeps at it, sheds his guy, as does Roach, and then you have a chase. And then Demario Davis was just amazing football IQ to go close this play out. So let's look at Demario Davis from the wide angle. So in that one, the pressure came a little bit from the interior, even after a delay. But I'll be honest, that's a little bit early for him to completely leave that pocket. We're talking about the rookie, but still, look at the recognition of Demario Davis. He's already from his zone recognized the scramble drill. Now he's passing this off. He's trusting the zone behind him. He's trusting his safety does his job. He's going to leave. Great job to sit. We're now cut off both routes. This is cut off down here, and he does a great job to click and close. Get a sack. Huge. One of the reasons he's arguably the best linebacker in the NFL. The speed to react to that, not only mentally, but physically, is impressive, especially since he's literally my age in the NFL. That's just, that stuff doesn't really happen anymore. So anyway, there's Demario Davis. Dude's a stud. Now for the opposite side of the ball, we're going to take a look at the sacks the offensive line gave up and discuss why they gave them up and what they can do to get better. Because I will go ahead and tell you that after I charted this game, now I showed you this clip already, but in my opinion, Trevor Penning did improve. Eric McCoy was the best offensive lineman in this game in terms of consistency, and Penning, while improving, still struggled a little bit, much better than game one, and then Hurst probably had the biggest struggles. But you're going to see a lot of different looks here, like this one, which I actually saw used first. The first time I ever watched this happen was by the Dallas Cowboys probably 6 years ago when I started in this whole film evaluation process and the scouting process. But this is a double stunt, or honestly, you can word it in several different ways. But you're going to have two clear out guys. So this is a tackle to end tackle stunt. Yeah. Tackle. So T-E-K-L-E. to T. This is a very unique stunt set. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to crash 2 inside. There's a little bit of a delay here, and you expect that. So you're going to crash with Houston and everything inside, and they're going to loop Luvu around both of these guys. So most stunts are 2 gap plays. So like an A gap to A gap, which is what you saw earlier in the video. Then you have stuff like this, which are very wide stunts, where we cross the entire side of the offensive line. Now, the reason this is a struggle on the left side, Trevor Penning has to recognize this. Now, this is very difficult to recognize. He needs to see this happening. When you see, as an offensive lineman, both of your guys, technically you only had one of these, but you watch both of them go across you, be prepared. Something's coming for you. He has to recognize the looper. He doesn't. Now, he does a good job of helping collapse that down. And depending on how they coach this, maybe this is what he's supposed to do. Maybe they are supposed to allow that free rusher to the complete opposite side and then just get the ball out. But that's not the only place pressure comes from. Let's take a look at it from this angle. Ryan Ramczyk gives up a pressure to one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. So I'm not going to start harping about how Ryan Ramczyk has fallen a step. Good. I mean, does a pretty good job, honestly, of keeping his hands against the swipe, then a underneath rip. And this is just him getting beat through speed around the arc by one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So you have 2 things going on here. One, they're trying to take advantage of a left side that doesn't communicate super well. And now they're also trying to just get a one-on-one with their best edge rusher. So they do that right here. And then you got this double pulling down the entire left side, which again, when you talk about this being a problem, because it actually is properly blocked everywhere else. It's a great job by the running back to come fill in the gap. McCoy does a great job tracking, and right there. See, that's exactly what McCoy should do. Recognize when you see the guy leave, find him, found him. That's a great job. Jamal can't really get out, and then there's the looper who comes in and cleans up and gets the sack. But this is what you're going to see a lot of teams do against inexperienced offensive lines, and sometimes you can do it against experienced guys, but this is the difference between a good offensive lineman who's showing off mental processing, that football intelligence, and ones who just simply aren't there yet. Hurst and Penning both commit to the inside. I'm a little bit less concerned about Hurst doing it, but Hurst should be picking up Penning's guy. That way Penning can clear out and get this guy. But you have to recognize that as an offensive line, and you also have to have that kind of coached into you. And what I mean by that is you have to be willing as a coach to trust the guys to make that call. And it's quite possible maybe they don't trust them just yet. But anyway, that's the rep. That's sack number 1. Let's look at sack number 2. All right, sack number 2 for the day. And you're just going to see a complete destruction. James Hurst. Now, Trevor Penning does end up giving a little bit of a rush here to Houston, the veteran. But mostly it's that interior that ends up kind of killing you here. So just a straight, similar to what we watched with Nate Shepard earlier for the defensive side. Good, efficient hands and good interior rush. But let's take a look at Trevor Penning's loss here as well. So Penning going to have a wide 9. I think he did much better this game taking these on. A little bit late with his hands again. Isn't able to completely drop into his anchor. And then Houston rips through to get an inside rush after he gets Penning off balance. So Penning's going to do something similar to what we watched last week. He's going to drop to a 45. He gets caught right there. It's not a terrible rep, but it wasn't clean, right? You want to see him be a little more confident, a little bit more aggressive. I think he definitely had a better game here. But between the left side, that is still the weak point of this line, and just a double hand swiped across Hurst, who just doesn't have the athletic ability to recover from this, and ends up being a sack from both of these Carolina Panthers. Now, is it the worst rep in the world? No. There are definitely ways to kind of help with this. I would say that number 1 is Adam Prentice, who's actually leaking into the flat on the right side of your screen. My number 1 thing would be, hey, that big old fullback, leave him in to fill in the gaps and run slide. But anyway, they're trying to let the guys win and end up just losing this one. But now you know why. All right, so now we got another one that's going to be actually right around the same drive, and this is going to be Cesar Ruiz. So it's not just the left side. By the way, this is also a rep where I can show you and back up why I say Eric McCoy played the best last night, and it's such an underrated player. So Cesar Ruiz is going to get beat speed to power. 1, his base is way too wide for this. He doesn't ever get completely set, and then he's just completely jacked. Now, I think the initial reason for this is, 1, it's a great job by speed to power here from the linebacker coming in. And it's great hand placement. But the initial real reason, in my opinion, is the base. his base is just completely off. It's way too wide. He's not able to properly anchor himself, and this is just a Ruiz bad rep. But it's also not indicative of anything that you see consistently. That's not a Ruiz rep where it's like, oh, well, there goes Ruiz again. It's just he just got beat this rep, and he didn't get properly set. Right here, he got caught into like that transition of his step. He got beat. But I don't think that it's something that I'm worried too much about going forward. But let me talk about why I'm impressed by Eric McCoy. And I want to use this angle to show why. Talking about picking up twists and stunts. So, look at this. Inside guy, we're doing another with that tackle, trying to cut inside. Look at McCoy, man. He's recognizing this the entire way. I love this. It picks it up. Look at that transition just right over the top. This is what you need to see from all your offensive linemen. This is the type of mental processing that makes a guy good to great. So he's going to pass off from A-gap, give it to Hurst. You can definitely tell there's a little bit of talking there. Pass, great job. Pick up, it's a clean pocket. Reese just simply gets beat. Ramczyk does a good job. Penning does a good job. There's nothing. Penning does a good job here. Like, sincerely, you want to see Penning doing well? Penning did well here. This is a much better rep for Trevor Penning going against a very savvy vet right there in Houston. That's just simply Ruiz getting beat inside. But there's good to be found there. And I think the big important point is if you had seen maybe Penning get beat that way, you're like, well, damn, Penning hasn't improved. But Ruiz, we've seen Ruiz have a lot of good reps. And a lot of times it's important to know why something fails. It's still a sack. It still was a critical, forced a 3rd and long. But the way that he lost is not something that you're going to see very often. Just really awkward timing and when he got caught in his step and ended up with a very, very wide base. So something to clean up. But let's move on to the last sack. All right, final sack given up by the Saints in the game. This is on a critical 3rd down. They're going to bring 6, and New Orleans just simply doesn't have the complete answer. So they also bring it in a varied look here. Technically, it's kind of 6, but not really, because you have one guy kind of playing contained, or either that or Cesar Ruiz just dominates him so bad he gives up on his rush. But let's take a look at what you have here. So pre-snap, you have a kind of a cover 2 man underlook. So you're showing man on the outsides. You look like you're playing cover 2 back here, and then they're going to immediately adjust that look. You see, you're going to rotate it because right here, they're going to stick with the man on the outside. They go man here. They drop the safety to pick up the Y, and then you drop into a single right here. So what they end up doing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a lot, everybody. Notice how many people that you have in the passing lanes. You got 4. Well, simple math. 5. That means we got 1-to-1, but odds are they're putting a pressure point somewhere. So sack happens right here due to a guy that essentially becomes a free rusher. Let's talk about how that actually happened with the end zone angle. We're going to flip it around here. So we'll watch it full speed first, and then we'll talk about it. So we got initial, great job again by McCoy picking up that stunt. But I also have to give credit to Carolina Panthers with some really, really nice design. So what you're going to have here is a couple different things. One, we're running another stunt, or we're overlapping them. So you have the inside right here by 95. So we're going to get passed off to Ruiz. McCoy's going to do a great job to fill this in. So what do we have here? We got 1, 2, 3. So this makes it really difficult because, one, the running back is already trying to come and fill this gap, which means that this lane is what's designed to be open. So what's crazy here is this is when we talk about situational football. So for Carolina, they clearly saw something that they predicted that New Orleans would try to run longer routes here. How do I know that? Because if you are going to design a rush that is essentially a 3-layered stunt, well, you know that's going to take a minimum of 3 to 3.5 seconds to complete, which means that you're expecting longer routes because longer routes take longer to develop. Bam, what a mind blown that is. So this is simply understanding a tendency that you might have found from the Saints. You can only attempt this if you know that those routes are going to go at least 10-ish yards, because that's the amount of time it's going to take. So let's watch it one more time. See right there's the inside. Whoop, camera kind of got jacked up a little bit. Rewind it, but you'll see 95 from the A-gap is going to attack down towards Ruiz, trying to drag McCoy. McCoy does a great job to recognize the stunt and go pick it up. Now, that's where your running back went, right? Running back went and filled that backside A-gap, which he should do. So now you have this guy loops around into an empty gap. There you have it. This is actually a brilliant design by Carolina Panthers. And it really comes down to them understanding something on tape that made them know, hey, we can do this longer attempt right here because they're going to go for long passes. Now, New Orleans does have an underneath check down here that maybe Derek Carr could have tried to get. But honestly, this is almost impossible with this leak out here. But you can see every other route is definitely going down the field. At the time of the sack, when he had stepped into his pocket, look where you've got. We've got a deep post. This is a mid route, probably going to cut underneath the way. And you got Thomas down here at the bottom of your screen going deep. So got a little bit of a cutout. Gosh, this is just beautiful defensive design. I'm sorry, showed post and post corner right there, and then the fly. So, yeah, this is just a great design overall by Carolina. So, Saints fans, in this video, I try to look on both sides of the line and talk about what the defensive line did really well and how the offensive line struggled. More specifically, why and how they can continue to improve. I think the biggest thing is going to be reps, mental processing, and coaching. But I also think these are all fixable mistakes. You don't see a lot of just guys losing for the sake of losing. At the same time, I do want to remind you that I only showed you negative reps from the offensive line tonight, but they were better than week one. But the truth is they weren't great either. You did see better rushing lanes. You did see better pass protection, but it wasn't perfect. And they've definitely got to get better, especially on key third downs, where teams are going to continue to do these twists and stunts, especially these layered concepts to take advantage. Now, I will also say that in terms of who the New Orleans Saints are fighting, two very good defensive fronts out the gate. We'll see how they do against Green Bay. If you enjoyed the video, I ask that you do very simple things. Like the video. It looks like this right here. Thumbs up. Drop the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And share me out with other Who Dat Nation fans around the world, because Saints fans are everywhere. And last but not least, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section below. Don't be afraid of dropping multiple comments. If you want to have 4 or 5 down there, completely okay. Here to answer as much as I can. Who Dat, God bless. Catch you on the next one, which you can help decide.